Hey everyone, it's currently March 6th, it's 8:50 a.m. Just want to make another video just of what I have for today and kind of following up on yesterday. So I mentioned yesterday that I was going to have a power presentation, which is like our writing class. So that presentation went pretty well. And yeah, now I think I have another presentation today for one of my biology classes. It's a little bit about like health policy, so that'll be pretty interesting. But I think that like the majority of this week is, for the most part, I want to say over. I have some like lingering kind of tasks, but I definitely have a lot more of the big things that were this presentation yesterday was one of the big ones that I had to really prepare for and get ready. Now with that out of the way, it's like pretty smooth sailing, I would say, into the next like week and just preparing for finals. One of the big things I realized from like last quarter is that I need to start studying earlier for my finals. So that's something I'm going to start today, is just like getting ahead, even though I have like almost like a week and a half, I think, before I have finals. And usually I wait a little bit longer to study, but I think I'm going to start now and just try to get in on it early. And yeah, by the way, I'm currently in the library. So yeah, just getting in some morning work, just kind of showing you guys what I'm doing here. I think one of the big things that I'm excited about is really spring break and being able to go home soon after finals. I think that like it's always good to go reconnect with family, see friends again from back home. Super important thing. Something that I feel very ironic about a lot of libraries is that there's so much knowledge in here, but there's also like so much knowledge, and that like even though I love libraries, I love reading books, eventually all this knowledge is going to kind of become obsolete, and like there's not going to be a reason to have a physical library other than just to work or study. Because at my high school there was, I'm going to eat a banana by the way, in my high school there was a library, and it pretty much didn't really have many books. It just had like couches and stuff for studying, because I think like that was a big realization that most people don't really need books unless it's for classes, because a lot of people, if you're just studying all the time or really busy, it's like you don't have time to really read, which is not really a great thing, but it's just the reality of the situation. You know, we would all love to have hours and hours each day just to read and keep like expanding our mind, but we often don't. And that's why I think, especially in the era of AI, we have to be able to realize that our time is very precious, you know? And in order to really maximize that time, sometimes you just have to go through summaries of books. A lot of the self-improvement books that I read back in the day, like let's say now what, almost like 2 years ago, a lot of those now, I would probably just read the AI summaries of it, or just have it really just pull out all those actionable insights that you'd have to go through hundreds of pages of a book. It can do it very quickly for you, and it's a really time efficient thing. So I think that the biggest shift we should see in the coming years is going to be away from just like physical books and towards like AI, obviously, but it's really like how you can use AI, because the use cases of like ChatGPT or like all these other tools are so large, but I don't think a lot of people have tapped into that potential yet. And a lot of people don't really quite understand what they're capable of. I also think that those kind of tools are going to be absolutely revolutionary for learning, because now you have a tutor in a sense that can personalize feedback for you, also identify strong and weak points very effectively. And it's super important. I think I've used it for more instantaneous feedback. If I'm doing a problem and I'm getting it wrong, I can kind of have a very instantaneous explanation that's also very thorough. And additionally, I'm sure you're already aware of this, but the ability for different models to be able to explain things at different levels of complexity. So they're able to explain, let's say, a biochemistry concept at the college level complexity. They're also able to explain it at more of like a high school level complexity, or even like a kindergartner complexity. And by seeing that explanation at different levels, it really like solidifies your understanding of the concept in ways that most of the time, if you're in a classroom, only some really good professors are going to be able to do that. And also they're not going to have the time to really one-on-one with you and actually answer those questions. And also you may be kind of scared to ask questions, you know? You may feel like you get judged because you're supposed to have known some of these things, but with these AI models, there's really no judgment at all. I think for me, one of the biggest things about these different models is like their flexibility, and that truly the sky is the limit. If you can think of a prompt that could in some way help you, the AI model can kind of deliver on it. For example, you can ask it to like teach you something in like different steps, and to give you like a test and give you questions and then give you feedback based off those questions. So I think just all those combined make it such a strong tool for learning, and just not like learning, you know, biology or math, but like learning any subject at all. Like it could be a work related subject, could be, I don't know, like writing, how to improve your writing, could be language, Could be so many other useful things, maybe even sales, right? All those like different useful skills that we talk about, you can learn it just by having access to like one source of just one model, and you can just explore that indefinitely. I really think that like the way we interact with AI is gonna improve a lot, you know, and it's gonna also increase a lot. On a day-to-day basis, being really comfortable with writing your own prompts is gonna be like super important. And I'm really not trying to like convince you of anything. I'm just showing kind of what I'm doing in my daily life and what I'm like realizing. This banana was pretty good. Yeah, this morning I woke up early, had some tutoring early in the morning. Didn't go to the gym today. I usually go to the gym maybe like, I wanna say 2 to 3 times, maybe 3 to 4 times a week. I know I've talked about this probably before, but there's always levels to holding yourself back from something. There's a point of you deciding that, you know, you're not gonna try something because you're scared and that's holding you back. But there's also like different levels to it, because what I'm starting to realize is that you can do a lot of things really well and you can be used to pushing yourself, but you can still hold yourself back in kind of more unknown ways. And I think that's something I've kind of seen with content creation. Like usually I'm pretty good overall with like pushing myself, kind of trying new things out, not being afraid. But content creation was really like a new upper limit for me. And it was something that I wasn't really completely comfortable doing. And it was definitely a next step. And part of me was kind of like, oh, you know, I don't really need to do this, or those kind of things. Those are like coping, typical coping kind of words, right? And it was very subtle, because you kind of start to make these excuses for yourself, and sometimes they're very logical, sometimes they're not logical. But when you like boil it down, if you actually just thought about it if you actually thought about it and you're super real to yourself, like all those excuses are ill-founded. They're not really founded on anything. That's the problem with them. Like most of the time, your excuses are just like in your head and they're not really helping you at all. And when you actually think about why you're making excuses, there's no good reason. Because at the end of the day, even if you made a fool of yourself, the worst case scenario is that like everyone hates you for the next like 2 years. And then after those 2 years, for the most part, when you graduate, you're not gonna see people as much. And so you're in a totally different world. But everyone is just too hyper-focused on the current state, and they think that whatever people think of you now is gonna be that way forever. And it's not true. So that's why I think a lot of times for me, taking that big picture approach has really helped with those like small kind of decisions that I've been avoiding. And I think it's a really big for continue to push yourself when you kind of don't want to, or you're making excuses against it. I know I said yesterday, Wednesday was gonna be a busy day, but today is actually like a little bit of Wednesday on steroids. So I have my 2 biology classes in the morning. Then after that, I'll have 2 discussion sections for my biology classes. Then I have a chemistry discussion section. Discussion sections are just like smaller groups where you meet with like a teaching assistant and they just kind of help you go over the content. And then after that chemistry discussion section, I will have a volunteering class. I'm volunteering with the Cardinal Free Clinics, which is just like a free clinic. It's like a pre-med related thing. And then after that, I think I have a couple more meetings too. But as you can see, it's a pretty packed day. So that's why I wanted to kind of just give you guys an update before the day started and kind of recap what happened yesterday. I think overall, everything's going pretty well right now. And I try to be as grateful as I can for those moments, because I know they're not always going to be coming. You know, there's going to be those times when you wish that, oh, everything was perfect. So right now, everything's definitely not perfect, but it's going pretty well, I would say. And I like to be more of a holistic person and just say like, enough is enough. So I'm pretty content right now. I think there's always a lot more work to do. There's never going to be, a lack of work, but that's something I'm just going to continue to push through, continue to just do my best to get better. And I'll keep you guys updated on every part of the journey. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.